everyone. Thank you for tuning in to another exciting episode of the Iconist Podcast. And tonight we are joined by a special guest. So we're going to get right down to it, and then I'm going to do my roundtable, and then we're going to get right into the topics. We are joined by Bret Meeser tonight, fellow comedian, fellow wrestling aficionado. Bret, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am excellent. So before I start my whole rant, where can people find you and what are you up to?
Well, you can find me on social media and YouTube as Popcornbeard. That's my movie review channel. So I've been doing a lot of that on the side. So I just go out and see a lot of movies and then I just review them. And that's pretty much where all my creativity has been going to lately. So that's what I'm plugging right now. So Popcornbeard's on Twitter, Facebook. No, he's not on Facebook. I'm not there. Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. So just search that up, and that's where I am.
All right, nice. So we will put the link down below where people can find you on Popcornbeard on YouTube, tag you in there, and put you down below. So, of course, because we want to share the love. That's the whole thing about this show, is about having fun, about talking about our passion projects, things we enjoy, and then sharing as much as possible, because we always say there's more than one channel that people can watch, okay? You don't got to be...
True.
That's right. Spread the love.
Yep.
Rod, we're going to do it this time. Do it opposite this way. Rod, where can people find you this time around?
As I always say, you can find me on the World Wide Web. You can find me on Instagram at Mr. Rod C, MRRODC. You can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/DJ Rod C. You can also find me on TikTok at DJ Rod C1. That's DJ Rod C1. As I always say, shout me out. If you see me on there, come on through. Just hail me up, and I'll definitely hail you back. Tell me you saw me from Iconist Podcast, and I hail you up, and that's it. Barry, where can they find you?
Ooh. Okay, here it comes down to. So first and foremost, if you want to find anything that I'm doing solo, check out barry3d.com. That's my website. Everything is plugged on there with tour dates, everywhere I'm going to be. And of course, there's times I do comedy with the comedy troupe I'm a part of. That is A Touch of Gray Matter. That is myself, Zolf Ali, and Dave Sokolowski. We got some shows coming up, some fundraisers. So please, when the dates get posted, come out and support. Also, this show is sponsored by the books, right? We read the books, we review the books, and we talk about other things outside of that. But mainly, if you got to go to a comic book store, check out Kitchener and go to Wow Comics. Tell Wes, Ramon, Sydney, and Chris that we said hi. You tell them you heard about them on the Iconist Podcast, and they'll take care of you. If you're out in Montreal, to our fans out there, please check out Check Swings on the South Shore. Go by and see Trevor, Dom, Pierre, and Pierre. There's two Pierres that work there. Tell them that you heard about them on the Iconist Podcast, and they will make sure you have a great time and find whatever you need to get, from books to sports cards. That's what they specialize in. Also, another friend of the show is Miss Brandy Ford. You can find her at 4680q.com on Mondays, Wednesdays at 2 p.m. and Saturdays at 12 p.m. She does her show there live, and she also has The Writer and the Wit. Once again, the link is below. Okay, and then last but not least, the man that makes us look so pretty. So you too, if you want to start a podcast like we're doing, we use Podbean. Please go and reach out to Podbean, check it out. It's one of the easier apps to turn around and sites to use to get your podcast out there to the world. And if you need to get any work done, if you need a logo, any graphic design, templates, posters, t-shirts, whatever it is, you can only reach out to one man and one man only. The man, the myth, the legend. Rod, who am I talking about?
J Bird Digital Art.
Jason Reese, J Bird Digital Arts. Hook them up. Tell him you heard about him on the Iconist Podcast, and he will give you a discount. Woo! Woo! Also, this is episode 2 of year 3. We still going. We're still going. And we also
still got gas in the tank. We're still working it out.
That's right. So bottom line is, like, subscribe, share, rate, and review. Please turn your notifications on. Please subscribe to our page. Even if you're listening and you only listen to it as a podcast, find our YouTube page, subscribe, follow, whatever. Do those numbers. Each click helps the channel grow. And of course, we got a Patreon page, and we also got another page where you get a coffee page. We can do a one-time tip. All right. Thank you for your support. It means a lot. And all the friends and people that listen to us in the States, overseas, the UK. Wow. Wow. Thank you. Which brings me to tonight's episode. Well, tonight for us, but ooh, we're talking about one of my favorite topics, wrestling, right? And the icon is on the Iconist podcast once again. AEW. AEW. Excellent. I'm sitting here in my AEW shirt. Right now, I'm going to pull up a picture. You guys can see it. It was me along with my buddy Chris Jarvie and a friend of his when we went and saw them over here in Hamilton when they came down on the Wednesday night. Got to do a shout out to Eric Johnston. Thank you very much. His local comedian who was able to hook me up with a ticket. Thank you. Manners maketh the man. Why do I like AEW wrestling? Okay, first, let me just start. I'm talked enough. Bret, why do you like AEW wrestling? What about AEW attracts you maybe more than WWE, or do you like WWE just the same, or is it different for you?
For me, because I've been watching wrestling my whole life, right? So I started with WWE, probably like everybody else, WWF, right? And I definitely got into ECW and I got into WCW, like just because all my friends around me liked wrestling too. So I grew up with just everyone we watched wrestling. So when we saw like ECW and that crazy hardcore stuff, we were like, what is this? You know? And we're watching WCW and there's a lot of different wrestling on WCW at that time too, because the cruiserweights and like you saw luchador wrestling, which was I don't even think you called it luchador wrestling back then, right? It was just like there's these Mexican dudes wrestling. What is this? This is crazy. Some high flying stuff. Because like you know we grew up with Macho Man and Hulk Hogan and like really boots on the ground type wrestling, right?
Yep.
And then you get introduced to all this really crazy stuff. So the cruiser stuff happened, and then like I got into back to WWE a bit more, right? And through the Attitude Era, like everybody else. And then TNA happened, and I was like, "What's this thing over here?" Right? Watching TNA on Spike TV. So I'm like, "This is interesting," and it's the six-sided ring. And also a very different mixture of wrestling. I think that's where I actually got more introduced into chain wrestling too. They had just a little different technique there. Yeah. And then from that, it's like you go back to WWE, right? I didn't actually watch Ring of Honor because I just couldn't find it around here. So whatever was on like cable TV is what I really watched wrestling wise, except for ECW, which was kind of like pirated, like on the old boxes. You know what we used to get? The old box. So we'd get the box and watch the pay-per-views that way, or we get tapes and we see the ECW matches on the tapes. So then once wrestling kind of went back to WWE for a bit, there was nothing else to watch other than WWE, and like TNA kind of faded out a little bit, and Impact kind of kicked them around a bit. And I watch Impact more now today than ever before. But then like AEW shows up, and actually, before I even get into AEW, I actually got into New Japan Wrestling then, because there's that's exactly. So New Japan Wrestling came into my life because I was tired of WWE stuff because it's just boring. Like it's just boring. It just lost its edge. Maybe because I got older with the product. I don't know. Things change, right? But then I got into New Japan because my friend was into it, and he's like, "Have you seen this stuff?" I'm like, "No. What is this cool stuff?" So I started watching it, and then that's how I got into like Bullet Club. Obviously, was like a gateway into New Japan. And then seeing like I was like, oh, AJ Styles is over here. That's cool. And then like, oh, who's this Kenny Omega guy? So like getting into the world of New Japan and seeing this totally different style of wrestling, like strong style, like blew my mind in a sense. You know, you're just like, what is this? What are they doing over there? So I watched that for as many years as until AEW formed. Right, that was like my secondary wrestling show because for WWE for me, it only came down to I'm only watching pay-per-views. And I didn't really watch the main show anymore. So I watched just the pay-per-views, and then whenever New Japan would drop a new pay-per-view, I'm like, I'm on top of that too. So that's like the two worlds, so to speak. But New Japan was just doing some crazy stuff, you know? And there's a lot of cool things that I like about New Japan. But then I got into BTE because the whole like Bullet Club and being the elite YouTube channel stuff. And I was like, this is really interesting way to just tell a story in a sense, like using YouTube, the modern technology in a sense to string along a story that works with New Japan, because New Japan doesn't really tell stories, it seems like, right? Like
They just get
maybe
right
they
into the
do.
match and go for it.
Yeah, maybe there's a story there, but as a person outsider, I don't have a connection to what's the story, but I'm there for the matches because they're fire, right? But BTE kind of strung together a narrative for everything going around, like in their world, right? That kind of connected what's going on in New Japan for us as outsiders. And I really enjoyed that. So then when they made AEW, I was like, well, I'm going to go there. I'm going to watch these guys. Like, because I've been watching them for geez, like 5 years at that point. I was like, this is great. So okay, let's see what this is going to be. And
Right.
here we are, like what, 3 years later now, 4 later. It feels like forever now. And it's just a very refreshing style of wrestling. It kind of combined the world of New Japan style of wrestling, a little luchador style of wrestling, and then mashed in WWE style of storytelling, right? It's just like this big ball of different elements that make AEW, and sometimes it doesn't work. But
you got to try. Not everything works if you try, but I get you. Yeah.
But in general, I like this product because it's different. It kind of sometimes reminds me of WCW. Like there's those days when you see a certain match, you're like, this is a WCW show, right? Like
yeah. So you can see they got those influences from there. Absolutely.
Yeah,
and that's what makes it really interesting. And they took a lot of the indie wrestlers. So not every wrestler has to be 6'7", 300 pounds, and just beefcake. You got guys that you're looking at like, don't look that big.
Can you make it out alive? Kind of scenario. No, seriously, I'm not even to cut off to jump in. I've seen a couple, and I'm like, again, I grew up in the WWF, WWE world, and I know, like we said, I've kind of like faded off with, Impact and everybody else. But when I see WE, I'm like, did someone give you permission slip to be in this ring, son? Are you allowed to be here? I worry for you. I don't know if you can make it. That's all you want to do. So, but you're right. It's different in the, it's a different way of branching off for different network, and just, I guess it does make sense because you're now bringing in, the elite, the indie people and stuff like that. So that's all I could do.
It's funny. So I went and I saw one of the events live, and I mean, if you watch that whole taping of that event, my wife and Chris's wife, they were both pointing out where they could see us on the TV because we were there at the thing watching it live here in Hamilton. And everyone's like, oh, there you are, right? Because I wore, even though it's the middle of summer, I wore my hoodie, the Barry 3D hoodie, bright blue one I wear, like you usually wear on stage. But I wore it saying, I will be on TV, and I want to make sure I'm easy to find on TV because I'm kind of dark.
Yeah.
I blend.
I'm not making any comments.
I didn't see that coming.
Right? Ultimate Ninja. So I wore it, and I'm like, oh, there's where I'm sitting. And I mean, so you had the floor seats, and then it was a walkway, and then it's right there, right after the floor seats is where I was sitting. So if you're looking at the screen, I'm sitting more on the left-hand side of the screen, and you'll see me jumping up and down. I'm like, you can pretty much imagine how I was carrying on because I was in my glory. And
I saw you.
Right? You see?
In person. I was there.
In person, because you were there.
Yeah. You walked right by me. I was like, Barry, and you're just like, I'm going VIP. And you just kept going. I'm up in the nosebleeds. And there goes Barry right beside me, like, Barry, yo, my dog. He's like, yeah.
Gotta say,
is that a peasant?
Yeah, exactly. Sir, sire, do you know him? Yes, I do. Don't worry about it. He's okay. It's just Bret. Thank you.
Yeah. So I had to move quick. Brought us in and told us we're going to get good seats. And then we're more to the back with this company, right? So we were all the way in the nosebleeds. And then they were taking people down and saying, okay, you can sit here, you're going to be in front of the camera. And I'm like, okay, fine. So they came and it's like, we need 3 people. So it was this other couple I was sitting with, and then along with myself. And I'm like, okay, because I literally went by myself. I'm like, I got a ticket. No one here needs to see me carrying on and screaming like a madman right out of my family. They hear that all the time. So I gave them a break. They stayed home. I went. And when I got there, they brought me down and I got this seat. And I'm like, okay. And then they picked the other 2 people, the couple, and brought them even closer beside the ring. And I'm like, I go, no, you know what? I'm good sitting here. So that's when I passed you. He's like, Barry. I'm like, yo, gotta go. Right? I was all in a car, firing in 100 cylinders. And I sat there. And then the big joke is, while I'm sitting there, I see Chris and Ricardo. Right? I know anyone at home is not going to understand who I'm talking about. Well, you know, you've seen the picture of Chris, but Ricardo's another fellow comedian who's a huge wrestling fan. So Chris and Ricardo come by, and I see them like, so I'm calling for them, and they're looking up. Thinking I'm calling from the top, not realizing I'm only a couple of feet away from them. And then Chris sees me. He's like, wait a minute, how'd you get here? Free ticket. He's like, who are you sitting with? Nobody. These seats are open? Yeah. And then the person that was walking by arranging the seats turned around and we started talking to her saying, hey, look, my buddy sit with me? He's like, well, where are you sitting? He goes, well, I bought a ticket, but I'm on the floor, but all the way back there. She was like, sure, no problem. You have a friend? Yeah, okay, bring him. And Chris just hauled butt, got his buddy, came back. Yeah. And the three of us were sitting there, and it was awesome. Experience that with Chris is a trip in itself. And the wrestlers, they're not as small. So when you watch them on TV, like, for example, Darby Allin. I love Darby Allin. Every time he comes on the screen, I'm like, that white boy crazy. He's like a human stunt man with a skull, always teaming up with Sting. So that was the match. It was him, Sting, for example. The two of them were teamed up along against Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara. Okay, that's the match. During that match, at one point, they all leave the ring and they come up against like the boards. So the camera just kind of, that's when they showed commercial and went picture in picture because the camera was right on me. And I'm leaning over. Darby Allin is a lot taller than I thought.
Right.
Yeah, I thought Darby Allin is like maybe, he looks like he's 5'7". But then
he's
you
5'8".
see him and you're like, oh, he's
5'8".
He's 5'8"?
Yeah.
He looked taller. He's 5'8". I swear to God, that man looked like he was like 5'10" or something. He was like, and he's just solid. And he took a hit into the walls and bang. And we're like, wow. All right, Darby. And it's like, welcome to Canada, Darby. And then Chris Jericho comes over and he's like, get up, you son of a... And he starts chopping him in the chest. And you heard the slaps. And I'm like, ah. And Chris Jericho at one point to get to Darby, to bump as me and Chris Jarvie. So we're leaning over, and Jericho had to come over and bump Jarvie's arm to get Darby. And I'm looking at him, he's like, I'm never washing this shirt again.
Yeah. Chris Jarvie's a huge Jericho fan. It's his favorite wrestler. So I can't say it. It's PG.
That's framed. That shirt is framed. The shirt is probably framed. Yeah. His skin is probably framed. Cut off the skin. It's framed.
Yeah. Jericho touched this.
It was so bad that Christine, his wife, sees it. So she picked us up after. She gave us a ride home. She gave me a ride home, and even in the car, he's like, "Did you see it?" He's like, "Chris touched your arm." She's like, was fangirling so hard, but I can't laugh at him because I was doing the same thing, right? So, I know, Chris, if you watch this or see it, man, we're not making fun of you, man. I was just there with your madness. I mean, clearly you saw how I was carrying on when Darby Allin came out there. I was like, that white boy crazy, and I was losing it. And but it was a good match, right? And that's what stands out. I mean, there's a lot of wrestlers in there right now, and I think some of them are doing really good, and some can be in better storylines.
Yeah,
they're getting slept over, right? So that's my Darby Allin. He all right. He's good. He's hitting all the marks for me. A person that I think that should be doing better is Brian Cage.
Yeah, I don't know why he's not. I'm with you. I like Brian Cage. He's got the build. He's got the moves. He's getting better. Actually, more recent run for him since he's gotten the trios belt, the ROH trios. Yes. I feel like he's gotten better as just an overall performer, and not even performer, but like a persona, so to speak. He's starting to find his way, and I think the addition of Swerve, because I'm a Swerve guy. He's like one of my favorite AEW guys right now. So him being a part of the Mogul Embassy, I think has actually helped him develop a little better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And like he's with Big Bill right now, which I think is
right.
also helping him and Big Bill start to be something. Like I've always felt like AEW has had a problem booking big
Big Ben.
wrestlers, like big men. Like I
Mm.
don't think AEW knows what they're doing with big beefy boys. And I get it. It's a different. It's different, right? But it just
Well,
seems weird. But he should be something. He should be a champion of some sort, like a bigger champion than the trios champion. At least he should be in the mix as like a threat. Like, why isn't MJF threatened
and
by
I
him? He's
think
a big dude.
exactly. I feel that they're trying to kind of go with the indie style, so they're getting away from the big wrestlers, so they don't get compared to WWE. But
Mhm.
they have a lot of class of big men. Okay, I mean, look, there's Brian Cage,
Yeah,
there's Big Bill, right? I mean, it's got big in the name. I mean,
yeah,
so Brian Cage, Big Bill, Miro, Archer, the Murder
yeah,
Hawk.
yeah.
Those four, come on now, you put them in a match, and they all
Mhm.
can move. But they're
Yeah,
not big men that don't have a move set. These are big men that can move and they're very agile in the ring. And I
yeah.
don't know why. Like that, there should be a match. I don't know if he hasn't gotten with the right stable,
Mhm.
right team that's gonna, push it.
Yeah,
Maybe he needs a better mentor. I don't know. I know, like for example, the Murder Hawk, he had Jake the Snake Roberts,
Mhm.
and he was coming up, and I think he got an injury, so that's why I kind of sidelined
Yeah,
him a little
yeah,
bit. But Brian Cage he's got all the tools. He's good on the mic. Maybe he's a
yeah,
little bit flamboyant, and bright.
yeah.
It looks like when I see him that he would fit more like a 90s 2000 wrestling kind of
Mhm.
motif with the mohawk, the bright colors.
Yeah,
I know I'm a loud personality. I think if he brings it down a notch color wise with the
yeah,
mohawk, grow the sideburn, the handlebar mustache, and he
yeah.
can come back with a different persona. Much of a change. Like just more. I think his persona would match the look. You know what I mean? The
Mhm.
book would match the cover. He could be in there because he was part of Taz's group at one point,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he had the FTR belt.
That's true. Or FTW.
FTW thing. FTR, I think FTR is a
Some,
group. FTW belt. Yeah, he had the FTW belt for a while.
yeah, and
Powerhouse
like
Hobbs.
he's like he's a very because he was great in Lucha Underground too. If you
Hmm.
ever watched that, because that's where he's
Right.
from. That's where he started was Lucha Underground. And again, that's another fed I watched because it was just crazy luchador wrestling. It made no sense, but I loved it. And that's where you got introduced to Penta,
Yeah.
and I think Ray Phoenix wrestled there. I'm not actually. I don't think he did. But then you also had Prince Puma, which is what's his face? Ricochet is Prince
Yes.
Puma. So it's like all those guys that did great stuff. But he was in there as the machine, right? And
Hmm.
he was great there. And I feel like they're just like I don't know why they just can't like just push him. They don't have to push him every day. They can just give him a push. Like if Adam Cole wins the belt, which he probably will,
Hmm.
push this dude to him as like here's a big obstacle for this small little dude to go against this big behemoth because we know he can move and do stuff. It just makes sense. Just clash them together. I don't care if he loses, but like
Right.
put it together.
What Brian Cage? You need me as your manager, right? Very simple. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, here it's gonna go. If I was his manager, his mouthpiece, so to speak, okay, if
Mm-hmm.
I was his Teddy Long, turn around and say, okay, first we're gonna change your look and what your ring attire a little bit. That's one.
Yeah,
Two, we're gonna get a catchphrase called "Uncage the Machine."
yeah. There we go.
He's known as Brian Cage the Machine.
Yeah,
Not the Brian, put the un in front of there. That's your merchandise right there.
yeah,
Uncage the Machine.
yeah,
Right? Almost like, feed me more. And then when you go in there and you just wreck shop, just
yeah,
walk in there, do the running. Couple of
yeah,
matches, disrupt things. Just say, you know what? And then turn a little bit eelish and be like the anti-hero. He just
yeah,
comes out to the middle of a match, beats down somebody, grabs the microphone, is like, I'm sick and tired of being passed on all the time. You know
yeah,
what? If you're not going to give me my opportunity, I want to take it. Uncage the machine. Throw the mic away, walk out.
yeah,
You want to see how fans are going to react to that? We're like,
yeah.
oh, Brian's not playing no more. No.
Mm-hmm.
And seriously, uncage the machine, and then do everything called, uh, you know, uh, on spot or on notice. You know what I mean? On site. That's it. That's
Yeah,
his whole thing would be
on
uncaged
site.
machine on site.
If he just said
See if
on
you
site, that'd be great. Like, imagine him just cutting a promo and just be like, it's on site. And then, like, you'd be, all of us who know the slang would be like, oh, someone's dying. When is Cage showing up, right? Like, what day and when? And it's just like, is it today that it's on site? Like, because like just throwing the thread out there. Because like what I would do with on top of your idea is,
yeah,
I'd have him written off TV for like 3 months, right? So
yeah.
he beats the crap out of Swerve. He's like, I'm done with this place. So he's gone, right? Let him heal a little bit, work on his physique, and then he comes back and he does what you say. Because like, just let him go away, you know? Like maybe lose the belts too and all that jazz. Like have a bad run, and then just like Mogul Embassy isn't for me. Just like power bombs the crap out of Swerve, like just obliterates him, and then grabs the mic. He's like, I'm out of here, and then just drop it and gone. And then everyone be like, "Where's Cage?" Right? Just let him go away, and be like, "Where's Cage?" And then to maybe drop a couple vignettes of a Cage being uncaged, like something cool, like a beast of a tiger coming out of the cage. I don't know. And people be like, "What's that?" That's okay. That's something AEW does not do well or at all. Is a good old fashioned vignette. You know what I'm saying? Hype me up. That's what I need. I need to be hyped.
Right, like you want that, and I said and the fact that he does the whole on-site persona.
Yeah.
You know the vignettes he can do. He can literally walk to because whenever the wrestlers go to town, they're always in hotel rooms or in hotel rooms. I already
know
right?
what you're saying. I'm with it. Say it. I know
Brian
what you're saying.
Cage can come to the door like how Stone Cold Steve Austin did with Vince McMahon when he was in the hospital. Just show up, knock. It's like, yeah, room service. And wrestler comes over and it's jeans and a t-shirt, opens the door, and it's Brian Cage. He's like, Brian, on site. Ah!
Yeah.
Beats him down, walks away. Catches another wrestler walking out of his car, beats him down backstage, walks away. Right? So, hey man, I'm getting something from the cafeteria. They turn around, Brian Cage is there on site. And it doesn't matter if it's a heel or a baby face. Anybody, because it's on site, just to prove a point that how bad he is, that you can't mess with him. And he goes, I'm going to beat down all the talent until I get a match.
And that works with or without a belt. It makes him a threat because it's like, okay, he has the belt, he's kicking everyone's butt, but when he doesn't have the belt, it's like, go away a little bit. On site, you're the new target, and he's coming back to kill someone. Right? It's so simple. So simple. And his theme music could just be some dude screaming on site, like, and that would pop people. If the music was right and it goes on site and everyone like big thing, like just think about it. Just think about it.
Brian,
call us. we got ideas.
We can
make him a star. We can make him a star.
We can make you a star with merchandising. Would go through the roof. Call us.
Dude, I'd have an on-site shirt. It has like a cool like bullseye on it, like a target. He could have like all these like wanted posters of like all the wrestlers that just like says on-site. Like, the ideas are endless.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's it. And even not even a bullseye. You get like one of those cogs, like one of those machine cogs, and then you put the bullseye in that.
Yes. Oh, yes. That's a good idea.
Mr. Brian Cage.
That's a good idea.
We got you. We got you. We want you. Not said. We want you to succeed. All right.
That's to the moon.
Right. You can do it.
Next wrestler. Let's go. Okay.
All right.
One by one. We're breaking it down today, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, we're breaking it down. Who's next? Who's next? Okay. So, all right. Okay. And I know here's another topic that you're passionate about is the female division in AEW.
Yeah, I wouldn't say like passionate about it. I find it very interesting of how it's just ran. You know what I'm saying? And how things are not like, it's so lackluster compared to like all the other female wrestling that's going on out there. And then just watching this where it's kind of just like, what is this? It seems so band-aids thrown together. Like, and I'm not dissing the wrestling or anything like that.
No.
It's just the product and how it's being presented to you feels like it's an afterthought every single time it's there. Like even right now, going towards All In, they're having the tournament, right? For the four what is it? The 4 versus 1, whatever. The 4-way, sorry. for her belt. And I'm like, what is this? Like, why? There's no story here to get me involved. And the only thing they said like 2 weeks ago was it's tradition for the woman's title to be defended in a four-way match. And I'm like, that's bullshit. I'm sorry I swore, but that's bull. Like, give me some story to get into this. Like,
right.
I need something. I need something.
You know, and I agree with you because, and I was very, you know, at the very beginning of AEW, and they started kind of going with the wrestlers. Everyone has their favorites. And then Britt Baker came out. And for how she started and where she ended up, and I mean this in a positive way, she just went right up. Like, she's the one that stood out.
Yeah.
And then she solidified herself when she did that one match and she got some color on her. I mean, she was busted open, blood, to the point where even Mick Foley went, holy crap, great match. Like, she built a storyline up there. The fact that they, CM Punk was saying, oh, well, this person, and Britt Baker is one of the 4 pillars of AEW wrestling. And he was saying that to MJF, and that was building up that story. And he was like, even Britt Baker is doing better than you. So that was a nice sub-story that was going, a subplot that was happening. But to show that she made one of the 4 pillars as a female wrestler, when we know it's a male-dominated industry, it was really refreshing to see. And I was all for her run, be it if she's babyface or heel. I was all down with DMD. You understand?
Yeah.
And she built that story up. And then after she had the belt and then she lost it, you're right. It's almost like they didn't know what to do. And then Saraya came in, who was Paige from WWE.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, she's got ideas. She's going to come on and be refreshing. It's exciting to see her back after her neck injury. She's finally cleared to get in there. Good. And I liked her idea. So I'm not sure if she's losing, or there's resistance behind the curtain that she's not getting to go. But the whole thing that she's got going on with her team right now, right? She started up a stable. And the name is escaping me right now. It's oh my god, they all call it one of the losers. The Outsiders, right?
Yeah,
right. So to me, that's very NWO.
Yeah,
because we're not getting any vignettes, we're not getting the NWO feel. They should run in there and interference of matches. And what they should do is really follow the NWO playbook. If you looked at the earlier day of the Outsiders, where Kevin, Scott, Hall and Nash first came in to WCW, they were bad guys, but you know why they were different? Not because of who they were, what they did. They came in there, they made their vignettes, and then the best part is when they got to wrestle, they were bad guys for the first time that didn't cheat. They just went out and wrestled. They were so confident. It's like, we're so good, we don't even have to cheat. We're going to win the match without cheating to show you how good as us as the Outsiders are, even before Hulk Hogan came and joined us.
And that was also to just show that the WCW talent were jabronis compared to them. And that's true. It elevated them so much where they were just like, you don't want to mess with these guys. Like, you don't want to. And it's like, that's what happened and made them a dominant team, right?
So Saraya's got to really, they got to give her more free reign because she did that woman's lumberjack match, which was fun. They got to let her really run with the idea a little bit more and get behind her. The writers got to get behind that a little bit more. But then they need to select a foil for them to fight. For example, you had was it the New Age Outlaws, and you had like a DX, and they were fighting The Rock, and they were fighting Stone Cold Steve Austin. That was their main nemesis. The Outsiders, NWO, was fighting Sting at the time before he joined. So you need a hero to fight the villains. If they're going to be the villain stable, one, don't cheat, give them a little bit more screen time, and they need someone to go against. And it can't be Britt Baker. She's already over. So it's got to be somebody that's going to come out and say, I've had enough, and really push that as a storyline. Them higher.
And
that's my point.
I almost feel like their story stuff is kind of just dead in the water, though, because it's been mishandled so much that now they've already spent it. You know what I'm saying? And they're just like, well, we're just going to rehash the same old stuff. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, okay, we have to kind of reboot it again, this idea. It's like, it's every idea for the women's wrestling always seems to start off good and it's like a good shotgun blast, like bang, we're loving it, and then it just dwindles away into nothing because again, there's no vignette support, there's like no trash, like no talking segment support. The matches are short. They don't even sometimes have matches, right? You have to kind of follow three different shows, sometimes four, right? Because ROH has stuff too, right?
Yeah.
To kind of piece together what the hell the women are doing in this wrestling landscape, right? Unlike
Yes.
WWE, which is very straightforward, you have what's going on Raw and what's going on SmackDown, and all the players are there. It's not the best either, but at least you kind of can see. I can watch all the story beats in one spot. Unlike AEW, which it is kind of a mess. It really is when it comes to the women's division, and I don't know what you do other than let's restart. You know what I'm saying? Like just let's blow it all up after this fatal four-way match. Let Sheeta win it because like why not? Unless Jamie Hayter's showing up, which I don't think she is. I think she's still not cleared to wrestle. I think she's injured. But like, let Sheeta
Jamie
win
Hayter,
it.
when she's cleared, she'd be a great person to go against them. My thing is, if they want to be different, now you want to be different, but not peel back a little bit, couple of layers from the curtain.
Mm-hmm.
I would turn around and say, "Hey guys, you know, if I was, let's say, part of that group with Sierra and all that, it's like Sierra, I would walk out and say, "Hey guys, I'm supposed to wrestle so and so tonight. Nothing gonna happen. I don't like the booking. Why are they booking me this way?
Mm-hmm.
I'm this kind of champion. This is the way I am. Blah 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 blah. Oh, bring me someone like that, you know." And by the way, they couldn't make it to the ring because, well, and they could put the camera backstage. You see, she got jumped or whatever. Her opponent.
Yeah.
You know, I want to fight so and so. And then put it. It's like if the bookers aren't going to book me properly, I'm going to go out there and wrestle a booker. Like as stupid as that sounds, have them walk into one of the rooms where one of the writers is, or a writer who's going to take those lumps. Them kick down the door. Let them turn around and say, "You're the booker. What am I doing? What is this? No scream time. If I'm not getting no scream time, let them beat up Anchor. Have a guy or a girl there pretending to be the writers or the booker for the
hometown
show.
Hero.
Have the man handle them. Walk out there. You know how much heat that would start?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah, to me, it's a different aspect. So you got, you know, the women's division. You're right. It needs a shot in the arm. You know, because they have great wrestlers. They really wrestle. They really do. Some of those wrestlers are better than the guys that are on the show. You know, take away some of the guys on the show because some of them make no sense to me. Like, I mean, he was Johnny Nitro, now he's Johnny TV.
Yeah.
I
love Johnny Nitro, but come on.
First of all, his name's Johnny TV now.
I know. Right? I can't.
And he's got the move set. But when he comes in now, I find that he's a little bit stiff. Like he's slipping off the top ropes. He's not hitting his marks. It's you went and you were on the big screen you're on two big companies.
Yeah.
You know, don't mail it in.
Yeah.
Be a little bit more prepared. Work off the ring rust if you have to off camera, not on camera, because it's very apparent when it happens.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's like,
no, I'm not.
I'm drawing a blank on her name right now, but like, oh no. So like AEW has like some actual like faces right now when it comes to the women's division because they have Sky Blue, who everyone loves, and she's great. I've watched her wrestle outside of the AEW, like in the indie talents. She's super good, and she's great in the ring here too. Like I like watching her go out there and do her thing, and she is an underdog kind of like wrestler too because she's so small, and like we could be pushing her to the moon. And we also have Willow Nightingale, who's super over. Whenever she's there, this crowd goes nuts for her. I'm like, yeah, I'm down too. So, like, we have certain faces there. Jamie Hayter will be a face when she comes back instantly. So It's like there's something to cook there too that could like right now while Jamie's away. I was going to say call them the Iconics for a second there, but they're not. But the Outsiders should just be like running rampant on the women every time, just like beating the crap out of them to a point where it builds up so much heat. And like your stuff too, like you're not booking me, like build up all this heat. So when Hayter comes back, it's like, here we are. Here it is. It's ready for you to just dismantle this whole crew, this one person, right? And it's like
absolutely
like that alone would be like, oh, and like even have like the fan favorites like Sky Blue get decimated by them, right? Just do it again. I know it's already been done, I know it's already been
Build
done.
up the heat.
Do it again, because like we can do things again. It's wrestling, but
It's
like
wrestling.
add in more vignettes, like really build this heat up so it's a simmer. You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden you just drop Jamie Hayter into this. Her music hits. Like, especially like they're beating down Willow Nightingale, then Sky Blue comes to save the day or something. They're getting beaten down. They're like, you have Jim Ross going, what's going to happen? Who can help? Boom, you hit her music. Jamie Hayter comes running out. He'd go, oh my God, it's Jamie Hayter, like, right? Like
maybe like Stone Cold when he came back from his injury.
Exactly. And then the crowd will just freaking erupt. Jamie Hayter's stunning everyone, whatever her finisher is, it doesn't matter. Just beats the crap out of everyone. Well, like, it's simple math. It's simple math, man. It's so simple. 2 + 2 is 4. Like, we can make this happen. And then underneath that, like, banner of action that's happening, we can start developing some new stars coming up, right? Like, there's a lot to go on. And also, say Jamie Hayter can't come back. You know who could come back and take this spot? Jade Cargill could just show up and be the hero. She's so like it took me a while to cook. I let her cook. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I had to get into her because like first I'm like, you're so green, but then just watch her do her thing. They built her correctly, man. She evolved. She got better, and now she's been gone for months. And I'm like, I'm ready for some Jade Cargill. So they could hit her freaking music, and then I think everyone would erupt. Just because Jade Cargill's back. She went 61-0, right? Like, she's a big deal to AEW. So her coming back to save Sky Blue and Willow, that would be freaking nuts, Like, what is this? Like, there's options. We have options. We can build
options. I just got to get to it, be it if it's booking, if it's the contracts. I don't know what's going on. We can't speak on that because I don't know. But that's a lot of those are great ideas. And what about you, Rod? I know you kind of briefly looked at some of them. So has any of them stood out to you, or did you see a match? Or
well, I was who is it? Let me get back.
MJF.
Oh my God, MJF was one, but actually the tag team, FTR. FTR was very rough and nice in a sense, like we're here to like take names and not even leave any information. I'm just gonna take someone's name and just take on someone's life. I'm like, oh, okay, you guys are serious. Oh, okay, cool. I liked him with that. What was it? We were just talking. MJF. See, all these abbreviations. God forgive me. I'm terrible with abbreviations. Just give me your full name, man. Oh, not too long. Okay, back to abbreviations. Back to abbreviations. Yeah, but no, he seems to be, at least I saw the latest. What was it, like from last week? Last week, anyway, he was giving the opportunity to his friend
Adam Cole
for a title match, and I was like, oh, that is so nice and so. I love you, man. I love you, and I'm like, oh, look at his brothers, about to go to the battlefield, but I love you. I may kill you, but I love you. I'm like, dang, he's different. He's different. Indie. And then, like you said, indie, like you can see. And that's where I was like thinking, like, you're gonna go against a champ. Like your champ is giving you the opportunity, but I'm like, you better have some techniques that I don't know about. He don't even know about it. You can put him in a submission hold and just like saying, I'm gonna tap you out right now. I'm like, I'll be watching. I'll watch that. I'll watch it when it comes out.
Right now, in AEW, when it comes to storytelling, MJF. God, to show you, like you're calling that out. So MJF usually plays a heel, like he's straight up heel, pure bad guy, backstab you. Like he was with Jericho at one point, broke up Jericho's group. Formed his own group called the Pinnacle. He had FTR as part of his group as his tag team division members of his group. And then the group just kind of fizzled out. And then he's just been rotten to the core. Got the belt, right? Still carrying on like whatnot. And then he had to do a blind tag match. So he got paired with Adam Cole. So Adam Cole over in New Japan was
Adam Cole, yeah.
Yeah, right. And NXT. And they put the two of them together. And at first, We're like, okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this, and then they're trying to they humanize. They slowly changed
See that?
MJF from a heel to a baby face somewhat. And he has spots of heel moments, but you see Adam Cole's supposed to be having this influence on him. And in one quick vignette they did, they're sitting there like, look, man, I know I got put here with you. And Adam's talking to MJF. He goes, hey, we got put together in a match. Adam, Maxwell, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I see that you had no friends and all that. My original plan was to kind of team up with you, get a title shot, and then like backstab you, right? And MJF's like, what? What was my plan? You were gonna backstab me? I was gonna backstab you. And they started bonding.
Yeah.
Now MJF is so good at storytelling that he went from being a despicable heel.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's a baby face.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what it is. Is he? We don't know. To the point.
Yeah, we don't know. Says, that's the thing. We don't know.
You never know.
Yeah, he played the long game.
That's how good of a storyteller he is. Because you're always expecting that he's going to drop, the shoe's going to drop off the other foot. Like he's going to backstab him. Everyone sees. So what's going to happen is with Adam Cole turn heel, will MJF stay as babyface?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's going to happen next week at All the Way Out, but we're going to be at Chris Jarvis' place watching it. So
I'm going to be missing it. I'll be there later. I'll be there later.
You'll be there later. Yeah, I got to do some stuff first, but I plan on being there. But that's the thing, though. So he's been telling the story now for months, little quick shots there. If you want to know about storytelling, this guy started off, let me tell you how much I love MJF. MJF started off, where you see him, if you watch an old school clip of WWE, I can't remember, he was working as a security guard, walking, I can't remember who he was walking to the ring.
It wasn't Triple H, was it? Was it The Rock? I think it's The Rock. And The Rock, The Rock pushed him back. I think so.
Yeah, it was someone he was walking to the ring and they pushed him back and you realize it's MJF.
Yeah.
Right? So that's on his journey up. He won an Emmy Award for Best Song Live Performance because he came out and he did a whole singing, like he sung with a whole band, like a classic Frank Sinatra whole thing, and he won an award for it.
Which is cool.
Unheard of in wrestling. Usually when you think about wrestlers singing, you're thinking about, the rock and roll WWF.
I just want to point a thing in here. See, all the time and attention that the men's division gets to tell these great stories, because there's so many great stories going on right now, but the women get none. You know what I'm saying? They don't get enough time to do their thing. And it's just throwaway matches, and they're still good matches, but we don't get to be invested in them. Like, we're invested, like, sort of laissez-faire, right? But look how invested we are with MJF and Adam Cole. We're like, yes, because they've had the vignette times, they've had the in-ring time, they've had the mic time. Like, I think if we could sit down and go through the archive of this snippet of Adam Cole and MJF together, how much time they've been able to put into it on the screen compared to anything that the women have done, right? Like, it's almost impossible for us to get invested in this Fatal 4-Way match when we're like, I'm already invested in the Adam Cole match for sure. The Young Bucks match, don't even need a story for that, but I'm ready for it. You know what I'm saying? It's straightforward. Round 3, yes, done. They don't even have to talk anymore. You know what? We're already invested in Kenny Omega. Whoever he fights, we don't care. It's like,
true,
whatever. Because they're all these established things, like wrestling-wise, but like the women's match is just this thing. It's just here.
There's not enough history. We have to get invested in it. And you're right. Because I think
it's we should... Like, the history, some of the history that is there is something that you already brought up, right? Like, we have Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa, which is by far probably the best AEW match that they've ever done, or for the women's division to date. And that's been, 2 years ago, I think? I think that happened during COVID, right? There was no one in the ring for that match, right?
Yeah.
So, and we still look back to that match very fondly, but nothing has come from it. You know what I'm saying? Other than Britt Baker became a megastar. Eventually, Thunder Rosa won the belt a little too late, I think, for her. Then she got injured, and she had to relinquish it to Tony Storm, who became the interim, which they ran an okay story there. And then
the thing with Tony Storm though, they should have given her the belt officially instead of saying interim, because I've never seen that before, and they dragged that out. And then when they finally officially gave it to her, she pretty much lost it.
Yeah, which was
like she lost it, and like, oh well, she's not the interim champion. She was a champion, so it's like, come on. So they're not giving her all her roses.
And like right now with her in particular, I'm kind of curious to see what they're doing with her, because I like the little bit of TV time she gets. She's acting very distraught without the belt anymore. So I'm kind of interested in what she's putting out there. I'm like, what is this? So is she starting to be like this champion, like that the championship meant so much to her that she doesn't know her identity anymore? So I'm kind of like, I'm interested in Toni Storm in her fall from grace, so to speak. But like, where's it going to go? Like, she's not in the ring wrestling anyone, because like if she gets into the ring, I want to see her wrestling ruthlessly, because she's so distraught. She's not trying to win clean or anything like that. She wants to just, she's out of it, you know. So I want to see her bring a chair in and just punk someone in the head with it and be like, well, I don't care about wins right now. I want the belt, you know, like just be a little crazy, because she's building this like craziness little persona. I feel it in the air, man. But I just don't know if they're going to let it happen. You know, something's cooking. I definitely can see it. And it's like, okay, so where do I have to wait for this? Like, where is it going? Like, I need it. Like,
you know, I get you. And I like the cross promotion that they do. So one, they need that. So one, I want to see more of the cross promotion. I like when, you know, for example, I didn't know much about him before, but then I dove all into him, and that's Will Ospreay and Jade Empire.
Oh yeah, I love them.
Yo, that's a fraction. That's how you run stuff. You know?
And he's like the king in a sense. Like when you see him, he's got the bravado, the swagger. Like, I'm Will Ospreay. No one can mess with me except Kenny Omega. Right? Yep. And his faction looks cool. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. They're all dripped out. Like,
they got the matching gear. They're coordinated. They understand the function of the group, and they've been succeeding that way. And when they come over and cross over, anytime Will comes over to AEW, it's like, oh, okay, it's on. Like everyone's on notice. You know what I mean? And it's beautiful to see. To your point, I get it. I think that some of the vignettes that do happen, they happen in the male and men division, and some of it we don't need. Like I don't need to know. Like right now, he's not making me excited. It's like Jack Perry. It doesn't make me excited. You know, so Jack Perry, the whole thing with Hook, it didn't excite me in any way to see as a storyline. It's okay. I liked him more as Jungle Boy. I know he's trying to be a heel. Okay, yeah, you know.
So can I tell you my theory about this?
Yes.
So my theory is they're doing this ECW run because Jack Perry sucks on the microphone.
Yes.
And so to get better as a person on the microphone, you got to go heel. Because you can say whatever you want outlandishly and you'll get over. You know what I'm saying? So I think he's learning microphone skills on the job training. And the best way to go about this is let's usher out some ECW alumni who can wrestle and talk. Because like RVD can do all of that. Yes, and then put on a good match. Because Jungle Boy can wrestle. I will not take that away from him.
He can wrestle.
He can wrestle. But he sucks on the mic, and he has his character is not developed to a certain level where I'm like, I need that on the screen today. He's not Darby Allin like for you, right? Like you see Darby Allin, you're like, yes, let's go. And I don't even like Darby Allin. I don't like him, but I know some cool stuff's going to happen. I'm not a fan of his character.
Darby Allin.
I'm not a fan of his character. Crazy. Yeah, he is crazy. Like that's the thing though. I appreciate what he does. And I'm like, oh, we're going to get something cool here, but I just don't like the character. You know what he did? He beat up too many big guys, and it bugs me. Okay, like when he lost to Miro, I'm like, get out of here. Like Miro beat the crap out of you for like 10 minutes straight, and then you got a stupid roll-up pin. And I'm like, I'm done with you, Darby. And he's done it to Samoa Joe, like the Machine. Like I said, Miro, and I'm like, get out of here. I can't buy that. I love big wrestlers.
Same here. When they're utilized properly, like I said, Miro, you know, Samoa Joe's another one. And I get like, I mean, he even show you, like I said it before in our last one, and I'm waiting for the movie to come out. There's a biopic of a movie on the Von Erichs, the Von Erich family coming out. Yeah. Right. And in that movie is Zac Efron. So he bulked up. You can find pictures of him online. He got his hair grow out and to play one of them. And then also playing one of the Von Erichs is MJF.
Oh yeah.
That's why MJF wasn't on screen that much because he was doing the movie.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see what it's going to be because it's going to take it to a different level. But but as I said, Jack Perry, can he wrestle? Sure.
Yes.
He should have learned more. I don't know what it was, but he had Christian kind of mentoring him.
Mm-hmm.
I was expecting him. I was hoping that he would have gathered more from Christian.
But I think it's hard to be a face. I do. I think it's hard to be a face. Like to be a genuine, true face and get over. I think it's a lot harder than it is to be a heel to get over. You know what I'm saying? And
Heels
so
have more
him being a face, I just don't think he was ready for it. I think it takes more work and more skills to become an over face than a heel. Right? And I just don't think he was ready to be that face with the microphone. So him turning heel is the best thing that could happen to him. Really.
Yeah, it could happen to him, but I don't need to see it on screen because take that off screen for me and keep it really short and sweet and let some of the females get in there and start flexing their vocal cords to build up the matches. That's what I'm talking about because when I'm looking at like, okay, you got Jack Perry, got it. And then he was dealing with Christian at one point. Christian really great on the mic. He doesn't even have to wrestle. He just comes in there, he talks, you're okay, you're in there.
Yeah.
And Charisma. Literally his name was Captain Charisma. But the thing is, you put Jack Perry with Hook. Hook doesn't talk. Hook can wrestle. Hook doesn't talk. So to be a heel to someone that doesn't talk at all, it's like, you're in a room by yourself, right?
Yeah. Which is another wrestler. That's another wrestler that needs to learn the mic. Like Taz can talk.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Hook better get ready. Like he needs to talk. And like Taz talked from the heart, which made him even more believable. Right? Yeah. Like you felt like when Taz talks, you're going to die. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, and that's the same thing with Samoa Joe. That's why I love Samoa Joe. When Samoa Joe talks, someone's dying. You know what I'm saying? Like it's so believable.
Of course, it's believable. What did Joe do in Impact, right, or in TNA? I think it was wrestling AJ Styles, and he turned around and he beat him to like a bloody pulp at one point, and then AJ had like a towel that he had like blood on. Joe took the towel, and every week Joe came out, he had the towel with AJ's blood on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And his whole thing is, Joe's going to kill you. That's his entry music. Joe's going to kill you. You're like, wow, Joe's going to kill you.
And he will.
Another man, DNA.
Yeah. And like, that's a guy, like you could put that belt on him right now, the AEW championship, and it'd just be in safe hands. Right? Like, I could see him just go in there. I'm like, I'm beating both of you right now for this belt. You both suck. I'm taking it. I'm Samoa Joe. Get out of here. But like, he's another guy. He's another guy. Great on the mic. Great wrestler. Like all around dude. Super believable. And it's just like, why? Like, is there like? I always wonder this about wrestling in general. It's just like these like really really talented individuals. Like, are they like sharing their wealth of knowledge and like helping people practice in the back? Like I know it's like maybe it's not a right thing to say, but like maybe it's mansplaining in the back, right? Where they're like Samoa Joe approaches these women and be like, here's how we do this, like here's some ideas. And like I'm always curious about like the behind the ring scenario of like, are they helping? Is there mentoring? Like what's going on in that aspect? Because they like AEW has some killers on the mic. Straight up.
Absolutely.
So I'm just always wondering, like, do they rent out like the Ramada conference room? Like, hey, show up for Hot Mic 101 with Samoa Joe, and we're gonna have a little mentor session. It's mandatory, by the way. Like,
if not, Joe's gonna kill you.
Yeah. So I've always wondered that they do that. You know
what? And to a degree, I can answer that because I've heard them mention that before. So a lot of the more experienced wrestlers have turned around and, for example, like him or not, CM Punk says, hey, I'm not going to approach any wrestler, but if a wrestler comes up to me and says, hey, what can I do better? Or what can I, CM Punk would give knowledge behind the scenes, right? Yeah. Same thing. Christian's mentioned that. The big believer in that is Chris Jericho. Mm-hmm. Let's go and give that man his flowers. Chris Jericho has reinvented himself over the years for his career. When he got to AEW, look what he did. He formed a group and he formed the Inner Circle.
Yeah.
Santana and Ortiz, huge Jericho fans, but they never, they loved Jericho. They even, and when Jericho turned around and said, "Hey, I'm forming a new faction for AEW. These are the kind of people I want with me. I need a tag team division, two guys to do the tag team division, one to do like a cruiserweight, I'll do the heavyweight." And he had it all mapped out. And he handpicked who he wanted. And he handpicked Santana and Ortiz. And they're like, he knows us? He wants us? So yeah, I want you guys to join the inner circle. He goes, I want you. I want Sammy Guevara. And he said, all these guys have the potential to go up multiple levels.
Yeah.
He formed the inner circle to not only have a fraction on TV, but to teach them behind the scenes. And now what they do with it after the fact, when the group broke up, is because he took them as far as he could. Right? So if you look at Santana Ortiz, people want them back. It's just that they had their own difference of opinion. So one was out with an injury. There's a difference of opinion. One wants to keep going. One doesn't want to keep going. That's a different story with them. But he brought them to a different level, higher than what they were before, than when they were LAX. Sammy Guevara. Look at Sammy. Sammy doesn't need, and he gets a pop, be it if you boom or not. People still love Sammy. Right? So everyone from the inner circle, he mentored. And he was doing the same thing for the Jericho Appreciation Society.
Yeah.
Until they just broke up.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens out of that.
Yeah.
And once again, Sammy was a part of that. But you had Cool Hand Luke and Tiny Magic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look,
that makes sense. Nipples hurt. Yeah, and like even I guess like at the beginning too, like Taz had the FTW crew, right?
Yes.
So he had, who was that? Starks, Powerhouse Hobbs, and the Machine,
Cage,
right?
Yeah, Brian Cage, and then he brought in his son at one point, Hook.
And his son point, So like that was like a little faction too. So I'm sure Taz was probably showing them this is how. And if you think about it too, he'd be like, "This is how big guys wrestle." You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's what his crew was like. I'll show you. This is how the big guys get over. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that makes sense. So who's in the?
But look at Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks is not a big guy like Powerhouse Hobbs or Brian Cage.
Yeah,
right? But he's still over. He comes in there and he hits that.
Yeah, he's starting to get into his own now too. Like it's starting to happen for him. Because I remember watching him back in NWA Power on YouTube. I consume a lot of wrestling. I do. I consume a lot of wrestling. Okay, so I remember Ricky Starks when he was on that, and I was like, "Who's this guy?" He was good there, and then when he came over to AEW, I was like, "Oh, okay, let's see what he can do here." And like now, it's been 3 or 4 years, right? And now it's Collision. He's pretty much headlining the show there. Really, he's in programs with CM Punk, and it's like, all right, I'm on board. And his character's actually gotten cooler. Right? And I think that's the main thing with wrestling in general. You got to be cool. Like your character needs to be cool. And that goes down from either if it's a male wrestler or a female wrestler. You got to be cool. And if I can't see coolness,
relatable. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just like, what am I looking at here? And that's like Jack Perry, you're not cool. I'm sorry. Maybe he will get there. No. You know what'd be wild? I said this to Chris Darby a while ago. I'm like, cut his hair down to Christian Cage style. Give him the Christian Cage style. Give him the turtleneck and have him become little Christian Cage and like be the heel, but like start copying him, right? Like he learns from him. Like I would like to see elements of Christian Cage seep into this villain that he's becoming, and it'd be like, like let's draw some conclusions here. Like, oh, he did learn something from Christian Cage, right? And maybe do a little MJF too, because MJF mentioned it. Like, you should be bad, like you'll get over. Like, let's draw into these influences. And right now, he just seems to be
bad is that when the champ is telling you what to do to follow the blueprint that he followed and made him successful.
Who he is,
and he's not listening for some reason.
We could even have Jack Perry say it. I'm following the blueprint. Like, just say it. Make that your catchphrase.
That's your
I'm
tag.
following the blueprint. Make that's a new merch. The blueprint. He could be the blueprint.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm sure Jay-Z will have a problem with that, but whatever. I don't think he copyrighted the blueprint. I don't know. Let's trademark that right now, guys.
Oh
Oh,
man, this is
jeez.
awesome. So hold on, I know we're doing a whole lot of talking. Rod, man, you got any points you
No,
got here? You
honestly,
want?
I'm good. I'm like, in the mental notes, like, what did Brett say? Say that
You
again,
gotta
Brett.
watch. You gotta watch more AEW and watch
No,
FTR.
100%.
FTR, especially now that I'll say this for you, Rod. FTR seems to be on their last run. So if you want to catch them
Oh,
now.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I caught them on a podcast and they're saying that they're going to get the belts maybe one more time, do this run, and then when this run is done, they plan on retiring. Right? If they go,
Okay.
Yeah.
they've been a
So
tag team from day one.
this is what I think is going to happen. Uh, Young Bucks will win
Yeah,
against FTR. Young Bucks will hold the belts. The Hardys will win the belts off of the Bucks.
Young Buck. Mhm.
right,
Yeah, and then they will retire with the belts. Then I think we'll have a tournament, and then FTR will win again. That's what I think
right.
will
Gotcha.
happen. Because I think
Right.
the Hardys are going to have a title run, but I don't see anyone beating them. I could just see them being like, that's it. Unless they dropped it to like the FTR, that could be cool. Maybe I don't know if FTR likes like them in that way, like they're
Right.
big fans of them. So it's just like, would that be a good send off, or would the Bucks win again, like a round two kind of thing? I
Yeah.
don't know,
No,
but
it's a good
I just
question.
see Hardys are going to have the belts before they retire, and then let FTR retire because I would like to see them stick around. They're great, they really
They're
are.
absolutely great. It's just they turned around in a podcast and they were saying, like, I mean, Dax from FDR has his
Yeah,
own YouTube channel, and he was talking about saying, "Hey, you know what? We talked about it when we retire. We are retiring. Not like one's gonna retire, one's gonna go on. We're both gonna step back." So they've been like,
that's interesting.
compiling. Yeah, they've both been compiling. That's weird because usually if one guy wants to retire, be like, "All right, see ya." No, it's like when we're done, we
Yeah,
are done. And they said that they've been saving their money, going back and forth, New Japan and stuff like that, and they're both investing in real estate, or not in. They have been investing in real estate and
yeah,
have a lot of properties, so that's what they're doing to kind of supplement their income going forward. So he
yeah,
said, "This is our last run," and they went from
Mm.
having three belts. So they had the tag
yeah,
team champion for AEW, they had the tag
Mhm.
team champion for Ring of Honor, right? ROH, and they had the tag team belts also for New Japan the
yeah.
same time. Or was it Impact?
Wow.
No, it was New Japan. So at one point, like I think last year, they had three sets of belts. So each guy was coming out with three belts on from three different divisions. And they were like, okay, you guys are this
Dirty.
bad. Okay. And they said, and
No,
then they ended up losing it, took a break, came back, got the belts. And they said, this is going to be their the last hurrah.
they had the New
Mm.
Japan belts, the Mexican belts, the AAA belts is the other one they had
Oh, okay.
because they didn't have the AEW belts at that
They didn't
time.
have
The
the AEW belt?
Young Bucks had them at that time, and
I thought he got it.
everyone was like, no, everyone's like, why are they not dropping it to them? So they could
Right.
have all the belts. But they had, and New Japan's, they had three belts, but AEW's wasn't one of them
Okay, I
because
thought it was
Bucks
a
had them at
okay.
that time. No,
I stand corrected. Or shit.
it's okay. Maybe I watch too much wrestling.
No, it's like
I
us. We
know.
talk about comic books in every episode. Listen, wait, man. 3 years in, and we it's okay. It's never enough.
Yeah, I like it's one entertainment that like I've watched my whole life and I've seen
Mm.
every iteration of it. You know what I'm saying? I've been
Yeah,
watching so much of it, and sure, there's been times where you're like, I'm not watching it right now because like maybe my friends aren't into it anymore. But then you always seem to go back, and then you're just like, man, this thing is still good. It's like the Young and the Restless. You always go back. I was raised on the Young and the Restless. Okay, so that's what
all
wrestling
right.
is.
That's
You
beautiful.
always
All right, so we're gonna wrap this up.
okay.
Before wrapping up, I'm gonna ask everyone one question here. I'm gonna start with you, Brett. Regardless of who is your all-time either favorite wrestler, favorite faction, who is it for you? Who's that one you'll always go back and watch all their old school matches of, or whatever? And it doesn't have to be a wrestler. It could be a team. It could be a tag team. It could be a fraction. Whoever. Who's the one for you?
There's only one. There really is only one, and it's Bret Hart. Bret the
Okay.
Hitman Hart is my guy through and through. Ever since he came out, I'm a Bret the Hitman Hart guy.
Mm.
He got me through a lot, to be perfectly honest, because we both had the same name and it was both
Right.
spelled the same way. And I
Yes.
I just had someone like, because like people would always spell my name wrong and stuff like that, and just like goof with your name, and I'm just like, I'm with Hitman. Hitman spells it this way. I spell it this way. You guys can all screw it, And we're the
On
best.
site.
Yeah, we're the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. So it's always going to be the Hitman, no matter what.
Right. Okay. Well, how about you, Rod? Who stands out? I know the AEW is kind of more newish for you, but out of the wrestlers you've watched, who stands out? Like you can watch a match and go, "Oh, they're on. I'll watch this match again."
Yeah, you know what? Bret definitely brought a good man on top there, Bret Hart. But I think I would go with Stone Cold.
Oh, nice.
I think I would go Stone Cold because Stone Cold, he's just that no care type of rebel, and that's what I like when I watch. I like to see someone who's just basically like, I will just go through you, and I don't care the repercussions. Fire me, I don't care. I'm taking someone out tonight. Who's standing your way today?
Yeah. And then you have Bret versus Stone Cold, which is like the best, one of the best matches ever to be put on film, right? Like, geez.
Yeah, if you haven't watched it, go and watch it. Go and watch it.
Yeah, go watch it.
Go and watch it.
That made Stone Cold. That match made Stone Cold, man.
Yes,
that
it
put
did.
him on the map. That was the match.
Yes, it did.
Thank you, Hitman.
Yeah, yes, it did. One put one over.
Yep.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yep.
I'll say this for myself. I'm gonna go a full out fraction. So I gotta go one I can watch all the time is the first run of D-Generation X.
Yeah, first run's great.
The first run of D-Generation X, and I'm talking and the New Age Outlaws, because for me, my favorite guy will always be Road Dogg. That's my guy. That's my guy. So you get Road Dogg, New Age Outlaws, D-Generation X, that whole fraction when it was Triple H, China, 6, right? Or 6-pack. And then, the New Age Outlaws.
Yeah.
That was a fraction. The stuff they pulled off, especially when they did the whole invasion of WCW. When Shawn was gone and Triple H because that really put Triple H on the map as a leader. Mm-hmm. And they left their stadium because WCW had a match going on, or they had an event going on the same night as WWE in the same town. And they went and got a Jeep, an army Jeep, put on their DX shirts, put on fatigues, kind of camouflage pants and the hats, and drove over to the stadium past all the fans. And fans were like, oh my gosh, is D-Generation X here at a WCW event? And they're like, open the door. This is where the big boys play. What's going on? And they just did a whole... That's what he used to say, where the big boys play. That was their catchphrase. And they were they were putting a whole lot of jokes. And even McMahon was saying, D-Generation X is over where WCW is filming. And they were filming it live because that was both the Monday Night Wars that was happening.
Yeah.
So the whole joke was everybody wanted them to open the door. Everyone was saying, what would happen if the door opened? And they asked Eric Bischoff, and Eric's like, I didn't know the Generation X was outside. If I knew they were there, I would have opened the door. Right? Yeah. There's some security guy that was working the event saying, no, we can't let them in. Close the door. Right? You had Hall and Nash that were there that are great friends with Triple H. They were like, door.
And the door opened.
On the other side were nervous that they actually showed up that night.
If that door opened, wow.
You must say, because one, the door opens, and two, who comes to the door? Because you got Triple H is there, China's there, you got the New Age Outlaws there. On the other, you got Spock there. If they open the door, who comes to the door? I know Kevin Nash said this on his podcast. If he came to the door, he'd be like, "Hey guys, come in, let's have a drink." It would have been him and Nash and Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. They would invite him in, have a drink.
Yeah,
but you got people like Goldberg and Sting. Who would have been,
It would have been awesome.
It would have been great TV if they would have opened the door. I need to find a universe, a multiverse where the door does open. So
you know what is funny? We were probably watching that at the same time, just in two different spots. Because I know I watched that episode. And I know exactly everything you're talking about. It's like I know me and my crew are watching it, and you and your crew are watching it.
Absolutely. And I was so bad. I had 2 VCRs. So I had one VCR in one room and another VCR in the other room, in my room. Yeah. And I was taping both shows because I'm flipping between channels to see what's happening during the Monday Night Wars. And I'm like, oh, they're at the door. They're not mentioning it. They're still at the door. They're not mentioning it. And I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. So yeah, that was, to me, it's going to always be the Generation X. Like right now, though, MJF, give me those. I said it before. Currently, that's my guy. Good or bad, MJF. But you got to go like all time so far. The Generation X. Break it on down.
Suck it.
Suck it. Whew. Well, everyone, thank you so much, Bret, for coming in on the Iconis podcast here this evening with us.
Thank you for having me, man.
Anytime, open door, man. Anytime, because I love wrestling. We all know that. Poor Rod's got to sit through this. Like, oh gosh, no.
I keep telling you, man. It's like it's good for me. Like I need to just all this knowledge. What I'm hearing from you guys are just dropping out and dropping gems and grenade in the hole. Oh snap! What are you talking about? Listen, it makes sense. I'm loving it. Keep doing it. Trust and believe. Bret,
absolutely.
Make sure you come. We'll cut you a key, Bret. Just come on through, man.
Thank you.
Anytime, man. Anytime. You wait till our guests. Anytime, man. So on that note, everyone, thank you once again for year 3 tuning in on the Iconis podcast. The Icon is AEW Wrestling with our great guest, median funny guy. Got to check him out. Make sure you check out his Popcornbeard reviews. Is that it? Popcornbeard?
Yeah, just Popcornbeard.
Popcornbeard. Check out his reviews. Check out his channel. Show him some love. This is the Iconis podcast. And on that note, this whole world was created by a pencil, a piece of paper, and lots of imagination. Keep on dreaming. And I got 2 words for you. No. Please subscribe. All right, we out.
Oh, nice. On site. Please subscribe.